Hello and welcome to West Wales and welcome to Pembrey for round 3 of the ODYSSEY MSA British Rallycross Championship. Pembrey is a former airfield and on first view you may think it looks pretty flat and pretty much like an airfield, but there are plenty of twists and turns to test the driver's skill as the weekend goes on over 2 days. Now the drivers have had a month off since round 2 at the home of Rallycross at Liddon Hill. Let's have a look back at what happened in the supercar final.
The back row is James Grint, Mark Flaherty and Johnny Verkeuringen, but on the run down towards Cheshunt's Drift, O'Donovan it is who leads the way. Off the road is James Grint, he's in the tyres, coming out of the chicane, a big moment at the end of the lap. Now can he rejoin from there? That is Kevin Proctor with lots of damage. It looks as though the championship leader, the Croft winner, ain't going to get to the end of this race as O'Donovan is being reeled in now by a charging Dan Rook. O'Donovan leading the way, still trying to maintain this advantage. But Dan Rook, having taken second at Croft, wants to go one better here at Liddon. It's round 2 of the MSA British Rallycross Championship, and it looks as though we're going to be on for a battle royal for race honours. And look how much more speed Rook has got, he takes over the lead. O'Donovan has got a problem because the car barely gets up the hill. It's slowed coming out of the Devil's Elbow. Proctor limps out of the way as well, so 2 potential winners in trouble. It's survival of the fittest as Dan Rook wins round 2 of the MSA British Rallycross Championship at Liddon and does so by a monster margin. So Dan Rook arrives here as the championship leader, 4 points clear of Kevin Proctor, with Ollie O'Donovan a menacing third as we get ready for action.
So a win at Liddon Hill for the sensation of the season so far, Dan Rook. As a rookie, Dan, was that something that you could not have predicted or hoped for?
No, definitely not. I mean, coming into the beginning of the season, we were just hoping to be thereabouts with the pace, and then to have a second at Croft and then to go on again at Liddon and win is just absolutely fantastic.
So you come in with a huge amount of confidence into a 2-day meeting, so as many rounds this weekend as we've had so far in the season. This could be a huge haul of points this weekend if it goes well. Yeah,
I mean, this could be a real good chance for the building up some good points for the championship. So I think a lot of today is going to be based on reliability to be able to push even harder tomorrow, especially with the rain we have today. It's to just try and keep it neat and tidy, try and keep it on the line, and then maybe tomorrow we'll be able to get a real good points haul.
Do you mind about the weather? Do you mind about going the wrong way around Pembrey?
The weather, I've never driven the car in the wet, so it's a bit of a new thing for me, but I always enjoy the wet when I drive other cars and such things like that. So I went out and practiced this morning and I really enjoyed the rain, and the track just feels amazing, so I think it's going to be a really good day today.
And we'll hear more from Dan later on in the programme. What of some of the other drivers? Steve Hill hasn't had the best of starts to the season. Maybe Pembrey could be the turning point and the proper start to the season. Steve, I'm sure you're hoping that's going to be the case. Tell us about the woes so far in 2016.
Well, we live in hope for Pembrey anyway. Yeah, first round we had a transmission issue, do with the clutch and mating the gearbox to the clutch, and just didn't get a run, so that was a bit of a nightmare. And then had a really good run at Liddon all the way through the day, and would have been on for a good result in the final, certainly on the podium, if not second or first even, and the engine let go. And it's a failure we've never had before. It's purely down to a rod that's let go, and the manufacturers have accepted responsibility. They're not paying us, but they're...
Well, no. So as far as your season is concerned, it really does start here at Pembrey, and it's a good way to start because you've got 2 days, 2 rounds to look forward to.
Yeah, it's 2 days. Obviously going the opposite way around today is going to be quite tricky. We've already found it's quite slippy out there after the truck's been racing before. I think it's quite a bit of diesel and muck on the track, but that's what Rallycross is all about. We're supposed to be able to drive on that.
Kevin Proctor kicked the championship off in great style with a win up at Croft in the northeast and trails the championship leader Dan Rook by just 4 points going into the double header here at Pembrey in the Fiesta. Kevin, what are your hopes for this weekend to bring down that 4-point deficit at very least?
Well, we need to try and stay reliable. That's the big thing. We had a problem at Liddon in the final, and we don't want that to happen again. Just got to try and have some clean races and get the score at the end.
The interesting thing is it's a 2-day meeting, so there's as many points as has been available for the championship altogether so far.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, today it's a bit different because we're going the wrong way around the circuit, so it's a learning curve for everybody, but I think that's going to make the weekend, really.
Everyone I've spoken to describes it, as you just have, as the wrong way. What does it feel like? Does it feel wrong when you're in the car? Does it take quite a bit of getting used to?
No, not at all. I mean, my background's rallying anyway, so I'm used to going that way, but most of the rallycross circuits that we do, or nearly them all, go the opposite way. Yeah. So this, for rallycross, is a little bit different.
Now, James Grint made his debut here at Pembrey last year and was on the podium in the last round at Lydden Hill. James, is that a good memory for you here in Wales?
Yeah, well, it was the first race I ever did in the 208, so it was a bit of a baptism of fire, and it was a bit of a crazy race, to be honest. But yeah, it was. I do like Pembrey. It's a great track.
It's going to be another little baptism of fire because all you learnt last year is pretty much lost today, isn't it? Because you're going the other way.
Yeah, well, it is. It becomes a completely different track. You have to treat it as a completely separate track because some corners you used to have to brake for quite heavily here, and now fast they're going the other way. So we definitely will have to kind of feel our way through, go by feel, I think, and hopefully not have too many problems. But
podium at Lydden Hill, the last round, that must fill you with a bit of confidence going into this weekend that you can get good points this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we didn't have a very good weekend really overall in Lydden. We managed to put it through in the final. I spun off a little crash into the tyre wall and then managed to come back through the field, and I don't know how I managed to do it, but we got back to third, and it was great. I found some extra speed in myself, and that there was a bit of red mist, and it's showed me a little bit more exuberance and how I can be a bit quicker, really. So yeah, I'm definitely confident after Lydden, and I think we've got every chance this weekend to have a good result.
So we've heard already from the drivers about this weekend having to contend with the weather, but also having to deal with a brand new initiative for this weekend. They're going to run the Pembrey circuit over 2 days in both directions. For round 3, for today, day 1, they run in the anti-clockwise, an unusual direction of the circuit. Let's take a lap of the circuit to explain exactly what we mean.
Pembrey today is a wet and slippery place, and the drivers have an extra challenge as well because everything is different. The pit wall, for example, is on the left-hand side, and some corners that they're used to braking for are now much faster and the other way around. And add in the problems of a lack of visibility, this is going to be a very testing place indeed. It's a flat and fast circuit. You've got the mix of tarmac and the loose sections, but a real contrast for the drivers. Everything they've learnt over previous years goes out of the window, and they have to learn a completely new circuit as they run anti-clockwise on this, the opening day of the 2 here in South Wales. And it's going to be spectacular, that's for sure.
Supercars lined up on the grid for the first qualifying heat of the day. Let's get up to David Addison with the grid.
It's blast off for Heat 1 and a great start by Dave Newsham. He leads the way, but he's got Steve Harris alongside. And then there's Kevin Proctor as well as they work their way through the first corner. Proctor hits the front. Right up behind him now, Jack Thorne. Proctor goes wide. Thorne sprints up alongside him. That is Mad Mark, who's off the circuit. Mad Mark Watson in the tyres, and this is how he got there. On board in the Citroën. Visibility bad, traction even worse. Bang! The race is being stopped. It's a red flag because of that car in a dangerous place. We're ready for a restart here at Pembrey. Blast off, who makes the best getaway? Kevin Proctor is away quickly. Dave Newsham has the inside line, but it's Steve Harris through the middle of them who will bag the advantage. Proctor to the inside line now. Does he get the lead? Yes, he does. Kevin Proctor getting away and building the advantage. This is looking very promising indeed for him now. Steve Harris runs second, but Harris is falling away. And a big slide, and he's off the road as well. Bounces out of the tyre wall, but he's lost second place to Newsham. Kevin Proctor is on target to win this race in the first round of qualifying heats, and he has absolutely dominated the opposition in foul weather conditions. Kevin Proctor takes the race win. A great start as they work their way through on the curve by Dave Bellaby. He's going to have the advantage, but no, right round the outside of him there goes Dan Rook. Bellaby up the inside and he hits him. Rook gets knocked sideways, he's off the road. Where's Bellaby gone? He's gone sideways. Rook still leads the race. Amazing. Julian Godfrey runs second as the cars work their way now through on the curve, but Dan Rook is dominating this. Absolutely on the ragged edge is Rook, and that means now that Julian Godfrey comes up to challenge. The two of them nose to tail for the race lead. What a race! Dan Rook just ahead, but he goes a little bit wide. Julian Godfrey, 5 times a champion, up the inside, and he's done it. Godfrey goes through, and Dave Bellaby is in more strife. Bang, another one in the tyres. Up to the checkered flag, Julian Godfrey just hangs on to take the race win. But now the important factor is to look at the times of each of the drivers to see who has qualified where at the end of the first round. And Kevin Proctor's race time better than Julian Godfrey's. So Kevin Proctor, quickest in the first round of heats.
So already plenty of action and plenty of news stories as well from just one qualifying heat here at Pembrey. That means, because there have been quite a few delays today, that Q3 has been cancelled. So just one more qualifying heat before we're into the semi-finals, and the supercars are lined up. We're about to get action underway for qualifying heat 2. Let's get up to David in the commentary box.
We're ready to go racing once more. It's blast off, and this is Dave Bellaby's view. Up towards Honda Curve, Bellaby goes round the outside, gains second place. It's Pat Durand though who leads the way, as now the cars are about to work their way onto the loose for the first time. Through the puddles goes Pat Durand, throwing all the muck into the face of Dave Bellaby. Wipers more essential than ever. Pat Durand, former British champion, leads the way. The vastly experienced Dave Bellaby chasing him down now. And somebody else in strife, Simon Horton, off into the barriers. The Subaru very crumpled. So Durand it is who leads the way. You've got Jack Thorne also looking menacing, but he's got off the road as well now. Jack Thorne rejoins. These weather conditions are absolutely treacherous. More and more people making mistakes and going off the road. Pat Durand heads up to a race victory. Once more, with the best visibility, he has dominated the race. A great start by Kevin Proctor from pole position. There's contact in the background. Dave Newsham and Steve Hill get together. But as they work their way up towards the loose for the first time, Proctor was the leader. He had chasing him Julian Godfrey, and Dave Newsham has got damaged. Look at that. The Powermax Racing car in real strife. The field slithering their way through. Steve Harris there looking for traction. But up front, it's Julian Godfrey looking very strong indeed here, and Godfrey's on target, seemingly for a race victory. Once again, the opposition just falling away because the visibility is so poor in the pack. Dan Rook is the man doing the chasing. He runs second. But these 2 qualifying heats that each driver now gets, essential to get them into the semi-finals. It looks like Julian Godfrey, who's had a pretty unlucky start to the season, he's going to be good to qualify. Dan Rook, the Liddon winner, second at Croft as well, chases the man who's dominated the British Championship of late. But Godfrey is heading up towards the checkered flag. Julian Godfrey takes the race win. Over the line behind him comes Dan Rook, and Julian Godfrey is the fastest of anybody in this second round of qualifying races.
So 18-year-old Dan Rook, already a sensation in the 2016 championship, leading the championship heading into round 3 here at Pembrey. We thought we might find out a little bit more about a rookie in only his second year of rallycross. Dan, the reason we've asked you to come and have a chat to us is that after 2 rounds of the championship this year, you are the name on everyone's tongue. Let's just explain to people a little bit about what you've done before and how you've got to where you are now. You're the reigning Super National champion last year. Your first year in rallycross, is that right, last year?
Yeah, my first year last year, and it was an epic year last year. So it was great sport, great fun.
So presumably, Rallycross was the route that you've always thought about going into motorsport. Has that always been the thought?
I wouldn't say it's always been the thought. My dad was a rally driver back in his day, tarmac rallying. So I used to watch countless videos of him rallying, and I wanted to have a go at that. And as I sort of carried on in the motorsport ladder, Rallycross sort of popped up, and I thought, well, yeah, I really want to have a go at that.
So you've said that Dad was the inspiration, if you like, from when you were little. How little? How young do we go back to when you liked four wheels?
Probably around 6, I'd say. I had a little field go-kart that I used to drive around with a little bike helmet on, and I used to just drive around in that thing, and I was probably driving ride-on lawnmowers from the age of 5, so I've always wanted to drive something.
We've spoken about your family, about your father. Who comes along to race meetings with you? Who's in the crew? Who's in Team Rook?
So we got my mum and dad. My dad's chief mechanic. My dad runs a little car garage at home, and we have the mechanics from there come along. So we got guys called Paul, Brad and Nigel, and occasionally another guy called Brad come along, and they help out. They really enjoy working on the car and like the social side of it, so that's our little gang, and we occasionally get some of my friends and family. So we got some family come up this weekend, and I had loads of support at Liddon as well, so they occasionally come up and join us.
Have you got any sort of standout moments first of all from Croft? Any particular moments that you think back on and think, whoa, that was good, or that was a bit hairy?
I think the final at Croft, personally, we hadn't been up with Kevin. We'd sort of been just shadowing him, and then I had a big push. I had Liam Doran on the mic, and he was shouting down the radio, and I've never felt so sort of motivated in my life. So to be up fighting, nose to tail with Kevin is my highlight so far.
What about Liddon Hill? Was it something silly like standing on the top step of the podium? Is it something completely non-driver related?
I think it's racing alongside with Liam in the team in the awning, and when Ollie unfortunately slowed down, and I was able to just it was that point I sort of went, wow, I'm leading my first sort of second supercar race sort of thing. So
Dan, good luck this weekend, and well done on the season so far. Do you allow yourself at this stage to think about a championship title at the end of this season, or is it way too early?
I think it's way too early, but again, you've got to constantly be looking forward, and there's 2 rounds this weekend, so this is potentially half the championship just in this weekend. So I think we're going to have to try and figure out some tactics and play it cool really on the Sunday to make sure we finish on the Monday.
Well done so far, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Time to go racing, semi-final time here at Pembrey for round 3, and pole position for semi-final 1 is this car here, multiple champion Julian Godfrey. Let's have a quick chat to Julian, and I would imagine reasonably happy with the way today has gone for you.
Yeah, no, it's gone very well today. I was second quickest in the first heat and second in the second heat, so that's put me on pole for the first final. So far, so good.
And also, it's a voyage of understanding for everyone today, with a circuit which no one's familiar with particularly.
No, that's right. They've gone reverse this weekend for the first time, and I actually do like it. Yeah, I think it's a bit more challenging in reverse, and the slippery weather makes it even more challenging. So, no, I think it's very good. Hopefully a return of good luck for Julian Godfrey. Thank you very much indeed. Let's carry on walking down, and as the cars begin to arrive here on the dummy grid, we've got, starting on pole position for semi-final 2, just over here, Dan Rook. Let's see if we can get a word with Dan before he goes out to start semi-final 2. Just lean in on the right-hand side of the car. I wonder if we can get a quick word with Dan. So Dan, what are the thoughts on today running in reverse and running in this horrible, horrible weather?
The weather's not so great, but the track feels amazing. It really does flow quite well, but it's just a shame that the weather's let us down really, because it would have been in for a really fast track.
Good luck, Dan. Thank you very much indeed for having a chat to us. Let's carry on talking to a few more of them as they arrive here on the dummy grid before the semi-finals get underway, because we do have the car of Steve Hill, who's here, and we spoke to him first thing this morning with hopes for slightly better luck here at Pembrey. Steve, is it okay to have a quick chat to you? Just a few thoughts on the day, up and down?
Bit of a disaster for me so far, but we're still going.
Okay, is the car's feeling okay now?
Yeah, we had a coming together at the start of the previous race and launched it in the air and tore a corner off, but it's fixed again now. So
it's okay?
It's okay.
Okay, mate, thank you very much indeed. There we go. Steve Hill as they arrive for semi-final time here at Pembrey.
Through the gloom, the first semi-final about to get underway. Julian Godfrey, Kevin Proctor, Andy Grant on the front row ahead of Pat Duran and Steve Hill. Simon Horton it is who completes the grid as we get set then, ready here at Pembrey. Day 1 of 2 of Rallycross, 2 separate championship rounds. Semi-final 1 is go! Great start by Godfrey as they blast off down towards the first corner, but Andy Grant tries to go right round the outside there. The venerable Ford Focus oh so nearly back the race lead, and a big lose. Somebody's got it all wrong in the middle of the pack. It's Pat Duran, round and round and round he goes. Everybody has missed him, but that was a massive spin for Pat Duran, and Julian Godfrey now leads the way. Once more, by being in front, he's got the advantage of the best of the visibility. So Godfrey it is, heading back towards the tarmac, who leads the way. And you can see just how horrible the track conditions are. It's slippery, it's wet, it's muddy. Traction is limited, visibility is limited. Julian Godfrey heading back towards the tarmac then now, round the back of the paddock. And look at the advantage that he has now got over the opposition. Now, what about Kevin Proctor? Because he's struggling to make progress. It wasn't a great start by Kev the Rev. Through the Hatchett's hairpin part of the circuit comes Julian Godfrey, and there's nobody else in sight. Andy Grant is a distant second, but Proctor surprising that he's not making better progress in this. Julian Godfrey, the engine builder par excellence, he really has been Mr. British Rallycross for so many years now, but this year he's facing his toughest challenge yet. There is the recovering Duran, another former champion of course. Pat has a great CV in Rallycross, but Julian Godfrey starting on the back foot, if you like, by struggling for points after his dramas at Croft and at Lyddon, plus the fact that the opposition is tougher this year than ever before. Here, though, it looks like he's going to turn around his season, doesn't it? The Fiesta blasts away now, back in a straight line. Traction kicks in and Julian Godfrey builds the advantage once again. It's the top 4 from each of the semi-finals that go through, with the quicker of the 2 semi-final winners taking pole position. That's the target for him here. To the hairpin comes Julian Godfrey. Flings the car through that tight left-hander. Of course, that's going to be a right-hander tomorrow when they run in the opposite direction. So the driver's learning about this configuration of circuit, and Julian Godfrey saying earlier that he really likes it. It offers more of a challenge to the drivers. He's on his own up front, and this now is becoming a demonstration drive in how to control a supercar in Rallycross on a track like this. Steve Hill battles on as well. He's in 4th place now. That's going to be good enough to get him into the final. Steve Hill also has had a pretty miserable start to the year. He was in all sorts of strife at Croft, if you remember. But here, Julian Godfrey is on target for the victory. No question about that. And if Andy Grant can get through as well, that's going to be a very impressive run by the garage owner with that really venerable Ford Focus. As I say, it's an old car. Will Gollop, Andrew Jordan have driven it in the past as well. Duran gets himself up past Simon Horton, but that's for 5th. They're not going to qualify. They might sneak in as reserves if anybody else has a problem, and no problems for this man. Julian Godfrey is heading for yet another race win, but crucially he wants to be in the final on pole position. Over the line he comes. He's managed to leave everybody else trailing in his wake. Andy Grant second, way up onto 2 wheels, gives the tyre stack a massive wallop. Oh so nearly rolled the car. He crash lands back down to earth, but what has that done to his 2nd place? It puts Kevin Proctor right onto his tail now. Proctor tries to make a challenge round the outside at Honda Curve, and then right round the outside takes 2nd place as they hit the loose. That was good stuff by Proctor, and it has worked to give him 2nd spot. You sympathise a bit with Andy Grant, but the good news is he's the right way up, and for a moment that didn't look guaranteed. So Proctor up into second place, but he really does seem to be struggling in these conditions. At the start of the year, he was undecided, Kevin Proctor, as to whether he would do the whole season or not. He's gone so well hitherto, it looks like he's going to stay on and do the whole championship, but he's only going to be second to Julian Godfrey in semi-final 1. Godfrey comes through to score the race win, and just look at the winning margin. There's nobody else in sight. It is a long, long wait before Kevin Proctor comes through now to secure second place. It's enough to qualify, that's the main thing. And then Andy Grant is on target for third, and Steve Hill will be the last qualifier. He is in fourth. Pat Duran and Simon Horton are those that miss out. It's a Fiesta 1-2. Julian Godfrey wins semi-final 1.
What will happen in semi-final 2? Lining up on pole position, the championship leader heading into round 3 at Pembrey, Dan Rook on pole position alongside Steve Harris in the middle, and on the outside of row 1, Dave Bellaby. Back to row 2, Dave Newsham, the multiple touring car championship race winner, and alongside Jack Thorne.
Dan Rook makes a very good start though from pole position, as Dave Bellaby is also away like a stab rat round the outside, and he gets the race lead. Bellaby it is, Rook second, Harris third, then it's Thorne ahead of Newsham. Spray kicked up, mud about to be kicked up, and the person with the best view of all is Dave Bellaby, who works his way across the loose section of the circuit here for the first time. Now Dan Rook, confidence sky high after the Liddon win, is right up behind him, and Harris and Thorne get themselves side by side in the background for third spot. And Bellaby runs wide, and that's going to give the lead to Dan Rook on a plate. Dan Rook goes through, and now Bellaby loses it. A half spin he's got going. I think Newsham had just got up behind them in third place. It's change and change and change at every corner. But Dan Rook now has something to see. Clear road ahead of him, no spray kicked in his face, and through the puddles he goes, leading the way as Dave Bellaby tries to chase after him, recovering for the half spin. Into the hairpin they come then. First year in a supercar, Dan Rook driving like a veteran. Dave Bellaby has raced in most classes over the years, but he too steps up to supercars this year for the first time. He's had a pretty leery day, has Dave Bellaby. We've seen him in the tyres and off the road earlier. We've seen him having a half spin. And now, even though he's back up into that second place, he's just not catching Dan Rook. The race leader is getting away. Rook, of course, is becoming a real factor as far as the championship is concerned. He may be inexperienced, but you just wouldn't think that the way that he drives. And this is a man with a very bright future ahead of him. Somebody off there, Dave Newsham, the former touring car race winner in the Power Max Racing Ford, has gone off the road. And can he get going from there? The car's well beached by the look of it. So Dan Rook leads the way, building the lead all the time. Marshall's there on the radios as the clerk of the course assesses whether Dave Newsham's car is A, going to be able to rejoin, and B, if it can't, whether it's safe to leave by the side of the road. Through the hairpin, tweaking the back of the car round, powering out of the hairpin now. Dan Rook ahead of Dave Bellaby. The top two work their way over the timing line, and just look at the advantage that Rook has pulled. Did I see a red flag in the background? Yes, there is. Race stop. Because of Dave Newsham's car being in a dangerous place, this second semi-final is being stopped, and there it is. In fairness, it looks like it might have been a mechanical drama that stopped Newsham. The restart is go. It's a smaller grid, but we're racing once more. Bellaby round the outside takes over the lead, just like he did at the first time of asking. And this is absolutely crucial for him. It's a second bite at the cherry. Dan Rook looking for a way by. But Dave Bellaby has been given this second chance to win semi-final 2, and he intends to seize it. But Dan Rook, who was leading, of course, by quite some margin before the red flags flew, he wants to get past as well. Across the loose they come. Bellaby sideways, he's out wide. He's lost the lead. Jack Thorne gains a place up on the inside as well because Steve Harris got sideways, so Bellaby could have come out of that a lot worse, but Dan Rook leads the way. Bellaby second, and then Thorne and Harris squabbling over third place. I tell you, these conditions are really testing the driver's car control. They've got four-wheel drive, but they've got so much power in these rallycross supercars, it really is very difficult to control. Up towards the timing line comes Dan Rook then now. Surely he's not going to be denied a win in this second semi-final. He may have been beaten off the line both times, but he's worked his way into the lead and then got on with the job, powering away from the opposition. Former autocross champion, now into rallycross supercars. He was the super national champion when he first came into rallycross and has been picked up, brought into the big league this year, and an inspired choice it has been. This is the corner that's caught out so many of them. Power comes down, the cars slide out wide, and that muddy, boggy grass almost sucks you in. Through goes Jack Thorne. It's the top 4 that qualify. Dan Rook looks like he's a shoe-in here, but it really is now a question of what happens behind. Rook back onto the tarmac, spray being kicked into the face of the opposition. Into the braking zone for the hairpin. Now comes the race leader, and Dan Rook is looking as though this is going to be a win, but I reckon Dave Bellaby, as they hit the pit straight, is coming back at him. That gap just looking a little bit less to the eye. Now, is this Dan Rook driving within himself? Arguably, you shouldn't do that because you want to set the faster of the 2 semi-final race-winning times. It could be that he's got a problem. It could be that Bellaby is on a mission, because either way, that gap's coming down. Dan Rook leads the way. Once again, he worked his way through the loose section. You can see how cut up it has been over the course of the day. It's much more rutted, it's much more slippery, much more difficult through there now. At Croft and at Lyddon, they had to contend with dust. Here, it's just horrible Welsh mud. So working their way up towards the checkered flag, despite the best efforts of Dave Bellaby, he can't quite get close enough, can he? The Bellaby family successful across rallycross because Dave's 2 daughters also doing extremely well at the moment, Paige and Drew in their respective classes. It's up to Dad here to uphold honour, but he's going to be beaten by the upstart Dan Rook seemingly as they go over the timing line once more and now work the last lap of the race around here. So Dan Rook leads the way. He's going to get into the final, so the next question is, can he make it 2 final wins in a row in the supercar class? Steve Harris looks like he's going to be good to qualify as well, because we had 5 starters initially. We've got 4 still circulating in this restart, so Harris and Jack Thorne will get through as well, and more frustration for poor Dave Newsham. But no dramas for the leader, Dan Rook. That is Jack Thorne, another of the young guns, a bit overshadowed this year by Dan Rook, but take nothing away from Jack Thorne. He's another driver with a great future ahead of him. Thorne slides his way through the mid part of the lap as heading towards the tarmac then. Through Spitfires in a moment will go Dave Bellaby, but up the road ahead is a rather dominant looking Dan Rook, and Steve Harris may not qualify because he's in strife on the very last lap. Through the hairpin comes Dan Rook. He's heading up towards the timing line. It's going to be a win in semi-final 2 for Dan Rook. Dave Bellaby takes 2nd place, and a great drive by Dan Rook. He may not have been the best starter, but he was certainly the best racer. Bellaby chases him home. Jack Thorne takes 3rd. Steve Harris comes home in 4th place. And now we know who the qualifiers are going to be.
So you've looked at the times, the both of you, and worked out who's going to be on pole. Julian, your thoughts? Delighted?
Yeah, delighted to be on pole. It's not so much grip on the pole position, but hopefully I can make it work and keep Dan on the outside.
As far as you're concerned, Dan, you got the fastest lap time, so there's something for you there.
Yeah, I just have to keep it a bit neat and tidy in the final. Was a bit ragged then, so just got to be a bit wary of Dave on my outside, because the outside is a lot grippier off the line here, so it's going to be a bit tight into the first corner.
The other categories in British Rallycross always provide tremendous action and maybe a few surprises as well. And round 3 here at Pembrey has been no exception. In the MSA Super Nationals, a win for Guy Corner, the man from North Allerton. Sadly though, for his neighbour Paige Bellaby, who came to Pembrey as championship leader, she failed to make the final after spinning out in the semis. Mike Howlin, who classes Pembrey as his local track as he comes from Haverfordwest, finished 2nd. If he can just do well in the second half of the double header, he could be vying for the championship lead come the end of the weekend. There was a star in the making in the MSA Juniors, and we might just have found a new rallycross hero for the future. Tom Llewellyn from Haverfordwest comes from good motorsport pedigree too. His dad, Di Llewellyn, was twice British Rally champion and enjoyed great success with works teams like Audi and Rover Group with the 6R4. Now his offspring Tom is showing Dad that something of that sideways skill has rubbed off. Sam Jones was second, the lad from Bexley not able to keep up with the Welsh youngster ahead of him, and making the podium Matt Rainbow took third. In the points though, Sam Jones stays on top from Constantine and Middleton. There was a bit of a family affair going on at Pembrey in the RX 150s. While his younger son won in the MSA Junior Rallycross Championship at Pembrey, David Di Llewellyn made his debut in the RX 150 Rallycross Championship and finished on the podium in round 3 after a close race with another son, Ben, who finished second behind championship leader Chrissy Palmer. In the Swift Sports, Nathan Heathcote continued his winning form from Liddon Hill by scoring victory in round 3 of the championship ahead of newcomer Chris Willett, who finished second in a day of attrition for the Swift Sport racers. Phil Chicken from Barnsley took the spoils in the Super 1600 Rallycross Championship in his Citroen C2, with Tristan Ovenden in the Swift taking second place ahead of Phil Coney. A good weekend for the brothers Kiefer and Chris Hudson from Harrogate. Kiefer took the victory spoils in round 4 in the BMW Mini Championship. Martin was a fine second, while David Bell finished on the podium for third. It was a Citroen victory as Graham Rumsey scored his first Rallycross victory in round 3 of the Hot Hatch Championship. A great battle saw him head off the championship leader Thomas Vielgoz, who continues to dominate the series in his Peugeot 106. In the Retro Rallycross Championship, Barry Stewart made a glorious return to the category, and thoroughly welcome he was too. The Porsche 911, which can claim most bragging rights, having won the first ever British Rallycross Grand Prix in 1982 in the hands of Rolf Nilsson. Great to see the Porsche 911 back on a Rallycross track, evoking those memories of those cars of a glorious era of yesterday. And good to see a 6R4 of Rob Gibson out there too. He finished second in his MG.
So all of that at Pembrey, and now the supercar final. Julian Godfrey will start on pole position. Dan Rook, who won his semi-final heat alongside. Let's get up to David Addison for the final grid of the day.
And this could well be the race of the day as well, because the supercar final has Julian Godfrey on pole position, Dan Rook and Dave Bellaby for company. Row 2, Kevin Proctor, and then Jack Thorne, Andy Grant and Steve Hill on the back row. Steve Harris had mechanical dramas in his semi-final, so Simon Horton replaces him. He gets in as a reserve, and we're ready to go racing. It has been a very testing day for the drivers and for the officials, and on this very, very slippery track, the last race of the day for the supercars is about to start. Is this where Julian Godfrey's season is turned around? He's got Dan Rook and Dave Bellaby for company on row 1. They look towards the lights. It's blast off! Great start by Godfrey. Andy Grant sideways in the pack behind, and Rook tries to go right round the outside on the run down towards the first corner. Kevin Proctor was sideways in the traffic behind as they worked their way onto the loose for the first time. Bellaby comes up to try and find a way past Dan Rook, but Godfrey is away in the lead. Bellaby goes through to take second place, or does he? Rook losing out. Proctor makes his move now up on the inside, and it's Kevin Proctor up into second spot as the cars accelerate their way through the mid part of the lap. They're going from hard standing to loose and back again. It is very slippery indeed out there, and you're talking about 600 horsepower in some of these cars. That is an awful lot to try to control on this sort of a track. Simon Horton is in problems. Bonnet flapping on the car, a legacy of the earlier skirmishes. The race leaders working their way up towards the end of the lap, so Julian Godfrey had a very healthy advantage indeed. And Simon Horton's race is as good as run because he can barely see anything. Over the line they come then. Kevin Proctor charging, charging, charging. Now what has happened to Julian Godfrey? He, I fear, is stopped out on the circuit. No, he's got going again, but a long way back, so Godfrey's had a moment, and Julian Godfrey off the road, back on again, but now finds himself in the traffic. So Kevin Proctor leads the way, Dave Bellaby is second, and Julian Godfrey yet again finds a whole heap of bad luck heading his way. Simon Horton then limps into retirement, and what we now have is a very northeastern battle in South Wales for the race lead. It's Kevin Proctor up front, but he's being chased very, very hard indeed now by Dave Bellaby, and Bellaby, despite going off the road a fair bit today, has also shown great pace. So he could yet take a real surprise victory here, but Proctor, massively experienced, is hanging on in there. Down to the hairpin they come. The coach company boss leads the way, but Bellaby with a tighter line through the hairpin is throwing everything at this. They've rallied together with Bellaby in the co-driver's seat in the past, and here it's going to be a real fight to the end between the two of them. They're good friends, they're good rivals, and Kevin Proctor leads the way, but he really hasn't sparkled in these conditions in the way that he normally goes in the dry. There are bits hanging off the front of his car as well as Dave Bellaby chips away, bringing himself into contention, but the closer he gets, the less he can see because the visibility is so bad. Tyres are knocked over there, and Dan Rook, third, is the other danger in this as Rook now tries to close on the pack ahead. You've got Pat Durand there, he also got in as a reserve, and he is sliding his way through at the back, but Dave Bellaby then sprints away now. Bellaby sideways, and Rook goes past him. A mistake from Dave Bellaby, and that's all it takes. You put the power down too soon, the back steps out of line, and zap, straight away you've lost a place. Down to the hairpin now then. It is Kevin Proctor looking as though this is going to be a win, but that is a very, very wide approach to the hairpin. He gets away with it because he was able to get the power down very effectively and come charging over the timing line, but the man behind him is the real danger now. Dan Rook taking over from where Dave Bellaby left off effectively as the real opposition. And Rook looking quicker. He's shaken off the challenge of Bellaby, and so now the lead gap is coming down and down and down. Through they come, across the loose. It's rutted, it's slippery, it's very bumpy across that section now. Dan Rook locks up as he hits the tarmac once again, the hard standing part of the circuit. Ever so careful, feeding the power back in, and a big off there. Jack Thorne demolishes the tyres. Loses control of the car, bounces across the tyre stacks, he's back on the road. Pat Durand has got up and passed him as well, but wow, what a race this is turning out to be. Kevin Proctor is leading, and actually this is perhaps the surprise of the day, because given the pace that he's shown as the weather has worsened, you wouldn't necessarily have put money on him to win the supercar final, but with Godfrey having a drama early on, it's now Proctor versus Rook. Up towards the line they come, and Kevin Proctor looks as though he's going to be home and dry. Kevin Proctor wins the supercar final at Pembrey. Dan Rook chases him home for second place. What a turn up for the books. So the cars head back to the paddock with a race winner in Kevin Proctor, Dan Rook second, and Dave Bellaby comes home third. Julian Godfrey recovers for fourth place ahead of Pat Durand and Jack Thorne, with Andy Grant next in the queue. And Kevin Proctor then has the championship lead now ahead of Dan Rook. Godfrey is only fourth.
Kevin, well done. Tremendous to watch. What was it like in the car?
Tremendous. It was quite bad really. The visibility wasn't very good at all, but I just had to keep going, and you know I could see them going off at the side of me, and I thought I'll just keep going. And then once I got in the front, the man on the radio just said, look, just drive your own race. They can't get close to you, they'll just get mud on the windscreen, they won't be able to see. So I just brought it home steady.
The start was absolutely critical, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and I'd messed another start up the heat before, and so I knew I had to get the start. And I was in a perfect position on the grid because, again, Neil on the radio said, look, let them three just fight it out and you'll just be able to get through, and it worked brilliantly.
How much did you know that was going on behind you? How much were you being told?
Well, I couldn't see what was going on in front of me, never mind behind me. So no, nothing, to be fair, nothing. He just kept saying, look, you've got two car lengths on them, just keep going, keep it neat, don't go wide. And there we go.
Dan, how many more laps would you have liked?
2, please. It's a shame the final was cut short because I was starting to really reel him back in, but I'm happy with second. The car's doing one bit for tomorrow, and to be honest, I think we couldn't have done a lot better given the conditions and how it went in the first lap. So I'm happy to have worked my way back up to second place.
We were just talking to Kevin Proctor, and he was saying, I asked him if he could see what was going on behind him. He said he couldn't see what was going on in front of him, let alone behind him. I guess that was the same for you.
Yeah, I was caught up in Kev's spray, so I had to sort of guess my braking points because I had nothing to reference on. So yeah, the visibility's got really bad out there. My windscreen started fogging up as well. So yeah, hopefully tomorrow will be a bit nicer weather, so we'll be able to at least see.
Well, that would be nice. The car's in one piece though, isn't it?
Yeah, car's in one bit. It's gone well all day really. can't fault it. The driver's got to get a bit better, I think.
Julian, I have to say, what happened?
I just overshot the hairpin, just couldn't stop. I couldn't really see very well, so the windscreen just folded up completely, and then stalled the car till I could going again. And but no, I think I was just trying a bit too hard with the conditions and not allowing enough air for stopping. And the previous corner went off a bit wide as well, so I just really trying a bit too hard, I think, and made a bit of a mess of it. So
it's turning into a completely unpredictable season, this, isn't it, already?
It is, yeah, but it's just Dan's just finishing there every time, first or second. So
and you know what it takes to win a championship. That's looking rather good, isn't it?
yeah, no, he's very stable and he's looking very good for the championship.
So after a tremendous day's action here at Pembrey and in some very tricky conditions, we have a new championship leader. 85 points have gone the way of the super final winner, Kevin Proctor, but critically he got an extra 2 points for taking the fastest lap. That means he leads Dan Rook, who came into round 3 leading the championship by just 1 point on 84 points, and Dave Bellaby takes a huge leap up the order and comes up into 3rd. We are back at Pembrey for round 4, going the more usual way around the circuit, and I wonder what that's going to do to shake up the order. You'll find out. We'll be back with the action very soon indeed. Bye-bye for now.